British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good morning, I'm Caroline Doyle, and these are your BCIT 11 a.m. news headlines. Artificial intelligence is rapidly taking over the computer science industry. Our reporter Thomas Adams has more on the effects it's having on the workforce.
Artificial intelligence has been rapidly growing in many working industries. From journalism to video game development, now it is more crucial than ever for employees to be a step above what AI can do. Nowhere is this more prevalent than the world of computer programming. Nowadays, students with degrees in computer science are unsure about their future. Some have said that it's taken them years to get a job once they've completed their education. BCIT's Computers Information Technology has been experiencing the impact of AI on their program. Now, the faculty is looking for new ways to educate students and incorporate AI into their learning. Thomas Adams, BCIT News.
The Canadian government says federal institutions should evaluate generative AI tools for their potential to help employees, not replace them. Hundreds of property owners were affected in Richmond after the BC Supreme Court ruled the Cowichan tribes hold Aboriginal title to 7.5 acres of land. The City of Richmond is currently preparing a meeting for property owners. The First Nations Leadership Council says Aboriginal title and private property ownership can and do coexist, and it is not a threat to the province. Now let's take ourselves to the Yukon. The Yukon Employees Union has endorsed the Yukon NDP and its leader, Kate White, in the upcoming territorial election. It says workers and their families have suffered from the loss of public service jobs, with at least $20 million spent on for-profit staffing agencies since 2019. Union President Justin Lemford says public workers need a government they can depend on, and the NDP understands the need for a healthy public service. Voters are set to head to the polls in 2 weeks. Now in national news, the Federal Auditor General says there are, quote, significant gaps in the government cybersecurity services, monitoring efforts, and responses to active attacks on information systems. In a report released today, Auditor General Karen Hogan found not all federal organizations were subject to the same security policies, resulting in the inconsistent use of available protection services.
Though some have opted in, this inconsistent use of services has resulted in a fragmented cybersecurity landscape that could undermine the federal government's ability to protect critical information and manage risk.
The report says a lack of information sharing delayed the government's response to a significant cyber attack in January 2024, allowing the attacker prolonged access to personal information. A new study is helping shed light on climate change's impacts on mental health of Canadians. Peer-reviewed study published today in the journal Nature Mental Health estimates about 2.3% of Canadians over the age of 13 experience clinically relevant climate change anxiety, causing meaningful disruption to their daily life. Co-authoring University of Alberta professor Shirley Harper says these findings should help decision-makers better target public health resources.
To respond to that, we need more programs that integrate mental health and climate change adaptation. So that's increasing support systems by people who are affected by climate disasters or who are experiencing some sort of climate change distress from like a heat wave or something like that.
The study suggests the prevalence of more severe manifestations of climate anxiety are just a bit lower than the self-reported symptoms of generalized anxiety disorders in Canada. A 2025 report from the Auditor General Canada says the Canadian Armed Forces did not meet their recruiting goals. It says the forces plan to recruit over 19,700 recruits, but only recruited 15,000, falling short by 4,700. The report says more Indigenous and visible minorities were recruited, but representation of women was lacking. A $9 billion investment was announced in August. Auditor General Karen Hogan says there's infrastructure that needs to be handled.
I think my two reports today highlighted that the Canadian Armed Forces isn't recruiting enough members when only 1 in 13 who apply, and there are thousands who apply, only make it to basic training. And then they don't have enough housing for them. So this is going to impact retention.
It says these gaps in personnel affect the force's capabilities to respond to threats and emergencies. So today for weather, little bit of sun, a little bit of rain. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Caroline Doyle.
Stay tuned for more.
The hands-on part of the program is the main thing that drew me to the program, and it's the main thing that I'm taking away from this program. There's no experience like just being able to go out and practice and do the work, and been able to do that both here in the newsroom, out on the internships, multiple internships that I've been able to go on, and I think it'll serve me very well.